week. You're watching the Thursday edition of Morning News Today. Now, yesterday, Finance Minister Tito Mboweni addressed the allocation of state funds for the year in his maiden budget speech. In that, we saw a lifeline being extended to Eskom yet again. Well, to further unpack the budget, the morning after, we joined in the studio by Economist Miyelani Maluleke from Absa. He's going to give us some of his views. Mr. Maluleke, good morning. Thank you very much for coming in this morning. Just an overriding question first. How would you describe this budget? I saw in some reports being described as a gloomy budget.
Yeah, we're not that pessimistic in our assessment of it. I think the one thing that you realize when you look at it is that, you know, it's certainly been one of the toughest budgets that we've seen for South Africa in a very long time. Because on the growth side, South Africa has underperformed. We've seen some challenges at SARS, and as a result, you've actually seen tax collections underperform in a really big way. But on the other hand, it's pretty clear that you've got very big spending pressures at state level. And as a result, you continue to see budget deficits just remaining there persistently. And this has been adding to debt. But I think the National Treasury tried its best here to actually try balance issues out, because I think a lot of the focus has been on this bailout that has been going to Eskom of about 69 billion rands. But they've also actually tried to offset some of that, because what you are going to see in the next 3 years as well is expenditure cuts worth about 50 billion rand or so. So I think it was a tough budget, but certainly not as gloomy as some people might describe it.
Okay, not as gloomy as some people might describe it. Would you also take heart from the fact that he went out of his way to try and contain the increase in the wage budget, for instance, wages of the public sector? No salary increases for MPs and cabinet ministers, I think for the first time, if not since 1994, and also that they're going to encourage people to take early retirement packages. That might help as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because I think when you look at the expenditure side on government, you know, the National Treasury has been flagging the wage bill as one of the big issues, because if you look at the last 10 years as an example, it's actually been rising much faster than inflation. They've been saying we need to find a way to contain this, and I think the message on that has actually been positive from this budget. They're saying when they look at government employee numbers, they seem to be coming down a little bit faster than they expected, and that over the next 3 years they should be able to save about 25 billion rands. So I think from a cost containment perspective, what they seem to be able to achieve on that side is certainly something that's positive.
Yeah, is it also positive? I mean, would you agree with the sentiment expressed by the minister that, in his view, is positive that government is seen to be doing something to resolve our power crisis, our electricity crisis? Yeah. Another 69 billion over the next 3 years is going to be given to Eskom.
Right.
And at the same time, it's going to be unbundled. And if you were Moody's, for instance, the ratings agency Moody's, I think it's in March that they're going to be relooking our rating. He feels that could be something that's seen as positive.
Yeah. So I think on Eskom specifically, there's still a lot of unanswered questions, right? So we know that there will be conditional support of about 69 billion rands over the next 3 years, but it's still not really clear what these conditions are. So the minister said Eskom will need to deliver on certain things. So we'll still need to see what those certain things are. But I think it's certainly a very positive step towards, reforming South Africa's energy space. And with respect to Eskom in particular, the government has been saying it's the biggest risk, not just to South Africa's public finances, but also to economic activity, because as we've seen just about a week or so ago, we've seen the return of load shedding. So to the extent that this financial support and the measures to try reorganize Eskom, I think, alleviate some of these pressures. I think this is something that could be positive for the economy going forward.
But the pressure on revenue collection, the shortfall there is not going away. As you mentioned in answering my first question about the problems at SARS that we've seen, but the minister said we're going to try and address the capacity and bring back SARS to where it used to be. But that can be undermined by the ongoing weak economic activity.
You're absolutely right, and I think you see it in National Treasury's projections as well. If you just compare to what they were saying in the MTBPS just in October, if you look at the growth projections, they're a little bit weaker now. So just for this year, they now think GDP growth will be about 1.5%. In October, they were saying about 1.7%. So we are still seeing persistent weakness in the economy. But I think, as you also point out, one of the issues that has been flagged is the administrative inefficiencies at SARS. Treasury has been, very strong to say that has actually undermined tax collections in a really big way. And for me, it's positive to actually see that there are some measures that they've announced in this budget to try rehabilitate SARS institutional capacity. They are going to appoint a new commissioner. They're going to be looking at SARS's technology as some of the measures to try. It's hard to know how quickly this will pay off, but I think it might be possible.
And also, I guess one would say more good news was that he said it's not going to be the same old, same more cash bailouts for state-owned enterprises going forward. Just to finish off, Mr. Maluleke, economic-wise, your outlook, what outlook would you be taking as an economist?
So look, I think the reality is that South Africa's economic outlook is still very difficult. Growth of 1.5% is not enough for us to begin to make a meaningful dent on our elevated unemployment situation. So I think that isn't going to go away very soon, but I think there certainly is, a sense from this budget that growth is going to be the focus in going forward. And for us, that's encouraging, and we'll just be looking to see if that actually goes some way to inspiring some business confidence in the quarters to come, and if we actually start to see a bit of a turnaround in private sector investment, which has been weak for a very long time. But I think in the short term, the outlook certainly looks challenging still.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Economist Miyelani Maluleke from Absa giving us an economic reaction to the budget that was delivered yesterday by Tito Mboweni.